The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council stood silent as Ambassador placed the ancient tablet on the presentation platform. The device hummed to life, projecting symbols that glowed with an eerie blue light. Around the circular room, representatives from 12 different species watched with varying degrees of interest. These symbols were found on Outpost 73, said, his translator converting his chittering sounds into universal language. The outpost has been abandoned for over 3,000 years. High Chancellor Eth leaned forward in her seat, her silver skin catching the light. Another archaeological find, Ambassador. We have many such discoveries every cycle. This one is different, insisted. He touched the projection and the symbols rearranged themselves into images. These markings speak of the children of Saul, the humans. A wave of murmurs rippled through the chamber. Commander, a towering figure with dark green scales, let out a hissing laugh. Not this again. Those stories are for children. Are they? A's compound eyes fixed on the commander. Every major civilization in this galaxy has similar stories. Beings from a death world who could survive anything. Warriors who never lost a battle. Explorers who ventured into places no one else dared to go. Myths and legends, said Chancellor Eth, created to explain things our ancestors could not understand. I activated another section of the tablet. A star map appeared, showing a region of space far beyond the current borders of known territory. Then explain this. This map points to a specific location, a solar system with 9 planets orbiting a yellow star. The third planet is marked with a special symbol. Empty space, said dismissively. That region has been scanned. There is nothing there. We scanned it 300 years ago with older technology, I countered. What if we missed something? A younger member of the council, a scientist named H, stood up. Her blue feathers ruffled with excitement. I have been studying these texts for 2 years. The descriptions are too detailed to be pure fiction. They describe human biology in ways that match across multiple sources. Such as, asked Eth. H pulled up her own data files. Humans had internal skeletons made of calcium. They breathed oxygen like most of us, but could function in oxygen levels that would make us dizzy. Their world had gravity 1.5 times what we consider comfortable. The atmospheric pressure would crush most of our equipment. A death world, someone whispered. Yes, H continued. But humans thrived there. They lived in every climate zone. Frozen poles, burning deserts, deep oceans, high mountains. The texts say they could adapt to almost anything. Commander stood, his massive frame dominating the chamber. I have read these same texts. Do you know what else they say? That humans were dangerous, that they were territorial and aggressive, that they fought each other constantly. They also say humans were capable of great compassion, I interjected. That they protected weaker species, that they valued honor and kept their word. Contradictions, said, which proves these are just stories. No species is both fierce warrior and gentle protector. Perhaps that is why they seemed like myths to us, H suggested quietly, because they were more complex than we could understand. Eth raised her hand for silence. Let us assume for a moment that humans were real. The texts all agree on one thing. They disappeared. 3,000 years ago, every human vanished from known space. Their colonies were abandoned. Their ships were found empty. They left behind technology we still cannot fully understand. The Great Silence, said. Yes, but what if they did not die out? What if they simply went home? Why would they do that? Asked Eth. I touched the tablet again and new text appeared. This passage speaks of a plague, a sickness that spread through their colonies. The translation is difficult, but it seems they chose to quarantine themselves rather than risk spreading it to other species. The chamber fell quiet. That kind of sacrifice was difficult to imagine. 3,000 years is a long time, said, his tone softer now. If they survived, why have they not returned? Maybe they are not ready, H offered. Or maybe they are waiting for the right time. Or maybe they truly are extinct, said another council member, a gelatinous being named, and we are wasting time on ghost stories. Eth considered the arguments carefully. Ambassador, what do you propose? Send a probe to the coordinates on this map, said. A simple reconnaissance mission. If there is nothing there, we lose only time and resources. But if humans are real, if they have returned to their home world, do we not have an obligation to know? An obligation, challenged. Why? Because the texts also contain warnings, said grimly. He pulled up a final passage. The symbols glowed red this time. This is found on 17 different worlds, written in 17 different ancient languages. The translation is always the same. When darkness falls upon the stars, the children of Saul will return. They will be the shield that cannot break and the sword that cannot dull. A prophecy, scoffed, even less reliable than history. Perhaps, admitted, but prophecies come from somewhere. Someone believed this strongly enough to carve it in stone on multiple worlds. Eth looked around the chamber, reading the mood of the council. She could see fear in some eyes, curiosity in others, and skepticism in most. We will put it to a vote, all in favor of sending a probe to investigate these coordinates. Only 3 hands raised, A's, H's, and surprisingly one other. All opposed. The rest of the council voted against it. The motion fails, Eth announced. This council has more pressing matters to attend to, real threats, not imaginary ones. A bowed his head in acceptance, but H looked disappointed. As the council moved on to other business, she leaned toward the ambassador. What if they are out there? She whispered. What if they return and we are not ready? A looked at the star map still glowing on his tablet. Then we will learn if the myths were warnings or promises. In the back of the chamber, Commander stared at the same map. Despite his dismissive words, something troubled him. His species kept their own ancient records, records he had never shared with the council. Records that spoke of a time when his people were on the edge of extinction, saved by strange visitors from a distant star. Visitors who called themselves human. He had always assumed those records were exaggerated, tales made grand by time and translation. But now, looking at the evidence I had presented, he wondered. The session ended, and the council members dispersed to their various duties. The tablet was filed away in the archives, along with countless other artifacts from dead civilizations. The mining colony on 9 sat on the very edge of council territory, a small outpost where workers extracted rare minerals from the asteroid belt. It was a lonely posting, far from the civilized core worlds, where the stars seemed darker and the space felt emptier. Station Chief L was reviewing the weekly production reports when his communications officer burst into the control room. Chief, you need to see this, the officer said, his voice tight with tension. L looked up from his data pad. What is it? The deep space sensors are picking up massive energy signatures, multiple contacts moving toward our position. Pirates, L asked, already reaching for the emergency alert system. No, sir. These readings are different. The energy output is enormous, but the signatures do not match anything in our database. El hurried to the sensor station. The display showed 7 large objects approaching from beyond the mapped region. They were still far away, but moving steadily toward Council space. Contact the nearest patrol vessel, El ordered. Tell them we need assistance immediately. The patrol ship Horizon's Edge received the distress call 3 hours later. Captain Daniel Price was in the middle of his evening meal when the alert came through. Captain to the bridge, the ship's AI announced. Priority message from 9. Price set down his fork and headed for the bridge at a quick walk. His crew was already at their stations when he arrived. Lieutenant Amy, his science officer, looked up from her console with concern. Sir, the mining colony is reporting unknown contacts. 7 large vessels approaching from outside our territory. Show me, Price said, settling into his command chair. The main displayed the sensor data. The ships were massive, each one twice the size of his patrol vessel. Their design was unlike anything in the galactic registry, angular and blocky, with strange protrusions that might be weapons or sensors. Analysis, Price asked. Worked her controls, her fingers moving quickly across the interface. The propulsion system appears to be fusion-based. Very primitive by our standards, but the power output is remarkable. They are traveling at 0.7 light speed. Fusion drives, Price frowned. Those have not been used in centuries. I know, sir, but the readings are clear. These ships are using controlled fusion reactions for thrust. Could they be ancient vessels? Suggested the tactical officer. Derelicts drifting through space. Negative, said. They are on a direct course for 9. This is deliberate navigation. Price considered his options. First contact protocols required him to hail any unknown vessels and determine their intentions. But these ships were large enough to be warships, and they were headed straight for a civilian colony. "Increase speed to intercept," he ordered, "and send a message to Council Command. Tell them we have possible first contact situation." The Horizon's Edge changed course, angling toward the unknown vessels. As they drew closer, the ships became visible on long-range cameras. They had a brutal efficiency to their design, all hard angles and armored plating. But there was also something elegant about them, a sense of purpose in every line. "Try hailing them," Price said. "All frequencies." The communications officer opened channels across the entire spectrum. "Unknown vessels, this is the Council patrol ship Horizon's Edge. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." Silence. They tried again and again. For 30 minutes, they broadcast in every known language using every protocol in the database. Then finally a response. The signal was audio only at first, filled with static. A voice came through, speaking in a language the translator struggled to process. Then the AI found a match, comparing it to ancient linguistic records. "This is the United Earth Federation vessel Defiant. We read you Horizon's Edge." The bridge went silent. Every crew member stared at the Earth, whispered, "That is the human home world." Price felt his pulse quicken. The myths were true. Humans were real and they had returned. "Defiant, this is Captain Daniel Price of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to this region of space. Request visual communication." There was a pause, then the flickered and an image appeared. The woman on the screen had features that were strange yet somehow familiar. Smooth skin, bilateral symmetry, hair growing from her scalp. Her eyes were a striking blue color, and they showed intelligence and caution in equal measure. "Captain Price, I am Admiral Laura of the United Earth Federation. We are pleased to make contact with the Galactic Council." "Admiral," Price said, trying to keep his voice steady, "we had no indication you were coming. Your approach has caused some concern." Smiled, and Price was surprised by how the expression changed her face. "We apologize for the surprise. We have been traveling for 6 months to reach this region. Our long-range sensors detected your civilization, and we wish to establish peaceful contact." "6 months," muttered. "They crossed the dark space in 6 months with fusion drives." Seemed to hear her. "Our ships can maintain high acceleration for extended periods. We have supplies and life support for journeys up to 2 years." Price tried to imagine living on a ship for that long. Most species found space travel uncomfortable after a few weeks. That is remarkable endurance. "We are used to long voyages," said. "May we speak with your government? We have much to discuss." "Of course," Price said, "but I must ask you to remain at your current position while I contact Council leadership." His expression became guarded. "How long will that take?" "A few hours at most." "Very well, we will hold position here. But Captain, I should inform you that we have 7 ships in this fleet with a total crew of 3,000 people. We have families aboard, children. We have come a long way to find you, and we hope for a friendly reception." "I will convey that to my superiors," Price promised. The transmission ended, and the bridge erupted in conversation. Price raised his hand for quiet. "I need a full analysis of those ships. Everything you can tell me about their capabilities. Tactical, I want defensive positions plotted. We do not know their true intentions yet." "Sir, do you really think they are dangerous?" asked. The Admiral seemed peaceful. "The Admiral seemed cautious," Price corrected. "And so should we. Begin your scans." Over the next hour, the Horizon's Edge studied the human fleet. The results were both fascinating and troubling. The ships were primitive in some ways, using technology the Council had abandoned long ago. But they were also incredibly well built, with armor thick enough to withstand tremendous damage. "Sir," said slowly, "I am finding weapon systems, a lot of them. Rail guns, missile tubes, laser batteries, these are warships." "Or exploration vessels that can defend themselves," Price suggested. "Maybe, but look at the ammunition stores. Each ship is carrying enough ordnance to fight a sustained battle." Price studied the data. Humans had returned to the galaxy armed and ready for conflict. Whether that made them dangerous or merely cautious remained to be seen. He sent his report to Council Command, marking it as urgent. Then he settled in to wait for their response, keeping his eyes on the human fleet. On the Defiance bridge, Admiral reviewed the scans her own people had made of the patrol ship. The technology was impressive, far beyond what Earth had achieved. Faster-than-light travel energy shields, directed energy weapons. The Galactic Council was clearly advanced. "What do you think?" asked Captain Foster, her second in command. "I think we are in over our heads," admitted. "But we made it this far. We find out if they will welcome us or turn us away." "And if they turn us away?" Looked at the stars beyond the Earth was 6 months behind them. "Then we find somewhere else to go. We did not come this far to give up now." Foster nodded. "The crew is ready for anything." "I know they are. That is what worries me. We came in peace, but we are prepared for war. I hope they see the difference." Deep in the ship, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was studying the visual recording of High Chancellor Eth read Captain Price's report 3 times before she believed it. Humans were real. They had returned, and they were waiting at the border with 7 warships. "Summon the full council immediately," she ordered her aide. "Emergency session." Within the hour, all 12 representatives were gathered in the chamber. The atmosphere was tense, filled with worried murmurs and heated whispers. Ambassador was the first to speak. "I told you they were real." "This is not the time for self-congratulation," Commander growled. "We need to decide what to do about them." "Welcome them," said firmly. "They came in peace, seeking diplomatic contact." "They came with warships," countered. 7 military vessels armed with primitive but effective weapons. This is not a diplomatic mission. This is a show of force. H stood up, her blue feathers bristling. "Or it is a precaution. They traveled through unknown space for 6 months. Would you make such a journey unarmed?" "The question is not why they are armed," said, his gelatinous form rippling with concern. "The question is whether we can trust them." Eth projected Captain Price's visual recording onto the main screen. Admiral's face appeared, frozen in mid-sentence. "This is their leader," the Chancellor said. "What do we see when we look at her?" "A predator," said immediately. "Look at those eyes, forward-facing, designed for hunting, and those teeth. Some of them are pointed." "I see intelligence," argued. "And caution, she is trying to be diplomatic." "We know nothing about their culture," said another council member, a crystalline being named. "Nothing about their values or their intentions." "Then we should learn," insisted. "Invite them to send an ambassador, open dialogue." "Too dangerous," said. "If even half the legends are true, humans are incredibly resilient and adaptable. They come from a death world. They are natural survivors and fighters." "That does not make them enemies," H pointed out. "It makes them unpredictable," replied. "I have been reviewing our military archives. Do you know what I found? Records from 3,000 years ago. My people were fighting a war against the Empire. We were losing. Then humans arrived and offered to help. Within 6 months, the war was over." "They helped you," said. "That sounds positive." "They destroyed the fleet utterly," continued, his voice low. 30 warships eliminated with minimal losses. They were using energy weapons and shields. The humans had only kinetic weapons and armor, yet they won decisively. How is that possible? The chamber fell silent. The implications were troubling. "Superior tactics," Eth suggested, "or better training." "Or they are simply better at warfare than we are," said bluntly. "These are not beings who fight occasionally to defend themselves. The records suggest war is part of their culture. They have words in their language specifically for different types of combat. Many species have complex military traditions," argued. "Not like this," insisted. "The humans who helped my people 3,000 years ago were not soldiers. They were explorers and merchants, yet they fought like professional warriors when needed." H accessed her own data. The ancient texts support this. Humans had hundreds of distinct military tactics. They studied warfare the way we study science. It was an art form to them. "Then we need to be very careful," Eth said. "We will allow them to send a single representative to these chambers. Under guard, we will hear what they have to say before making any decisions." "And if they refuse?" asked. "Then we will know their intentions are not peaceful," said grimly. In a private corner of the station, a group of council members met in secret. They called themselves the Purity Alliance, though they had no official recognition. Their belief was simple. The galaxy belonged to the species already here. There was no room for newcomers, especially dangerous ones. "We cannot let them join the council," said Admiral, or a military commander from the species. His people had not forgotten their humiliation 3,000 years ago. The council is too cautious, agreed his companion, a politician named. They will debate and discuss while humans spread through our space. What do you propose? Asked another member of the alliance. Or smiled coldly. A preemptive strike. We eliminate the human fleet before they become a threat. Then we tell the council they were hostile and we defended ourselves. That would mean war, said carefully. No, it would mean survival. 7 ships is their entire presence in this region. Destroy them, and humans will know the galaxy is not safe for them. They will retreat back to their isolated star system. And if they return with more ships, then we will be ready, Or said. But I do not think they will. These ships took 6 months to get here using primitive drives. They cannot afford to lose them. This is their only expeditionary force. The group voted. The decision was unanimous. The human fleet would be destroyed. Aboard the Defiant, Admiral was growing concerned. It had been 8 hours since their conversation with Captain Price, and there had been no response from the council. Maybe they are still debating, Captain Foster suggested. For 8 hours, shook her head. Something is wrong. Dr. Morgan entered the bridge, carrying a data pad. Admiral, I have been analyzing their communications protocols. We are picking up encrypted transmissions all across this region. Can you decode them? Some of them, the encryption is sophisticated, but we have powerful computers. What I am finding is troubling. There are references to our fleet, military units being mobilized. Felt a chill, show me. Morgan pulled up the translated messages on the main screen. The words were fragmentary, but the meaning was clear. Multiple ships were being moved into position around the human fleet. They are surrounding us, Foster said quietly. Or preparing to, agreed. How long until those ships arrive? Based on their drive signatures, maybe 12 hours. Made her decision. Send a message to Captain Price. Tell him we are detecting military activity and we want to know if his government intends to attack us. That might provoke them, Foster warned. I would rather provoke them than be caught unprepared, said. Send the message. The message reached Captain Price within minutes. He immediately contacted Council Command, demanding to know if military action was authorized. The response shocked him. The Council knew nothing about any fleet movements. Unauthorized activity, Price muttered. Someone is acting without Council approval. He sent a priority alert to his superiors and changed course, moving his ship between the approaching fleet and the human vessels. If there was going to be a fight, he would try to prevent it. Ambassador received word of the unauthorized fleet movement while he was reviewing diplomatic protocols for human contact. He immediately sought out Commander. Did you order this? Demanded. No, said, studying his own tactical display. But I know who did, the Purity Alliance. Those fanatics, we need to stop them. I agree, said, surprising. Whatever I think of humans, they came in peace. They deserve a fair hearing. Can you countermand the order? I can try, but Or outranks me in the military structure. He will not listen. A thought quickly. Then we warn the humans, give them time to prepare. That would be treason, pointed out. Not if the Council did not authorize the attack. We would be preventing an illegal act of war. Considered this, his species valued honor above all else. An unauthorized attack was dishonorable, no matter how dangerous the target might be. Very well, but we should move quickly. Or's fleet will reach the humans in less than 10 hours. They tried to send a warning, but their communications were blocked. Someone in the Alliance had anticipated their actions and jammed their signals. We need to go there ourselves, said. In what ship? We are diplomats, not military commanders. Then we find someone who will help us. They found H in her laboratory, studying human linguistic patterns. When they explained the situation, she did not hesitate. I have access to a fast courier ship. We can reach them in time if we leave now. The 3 of them hurried to the docking bay, hoping they were not too late. Aboard the Defiant, alarms began to sound. The sensor operator called out in alarm. Admiral, multiple contacts emerging from FTL, 15 ships coming in fast. Gripped her command chair. Battle stations, all hands to combat positions. Foster was already working his controls. Weapons ready, shields at maximum. Should I open fire? Not yet. Let them make the first move. I will not start a war if I can help it. The alien fleet spread out in an attack formation, surrounding the human vessels. Opened a communication channel. Alien fleet, this is Admiral of the United Earth Federation. We are on a peaceful mission. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. The response was a weapons lock. Multiple targeting systems focused on the Defiant. They are preparing to fire, Foster said. The first shots from Admiral Orr's fleet lit up the darkness of space. Energy beams lanced through the void, striking the human ships with enough force to vaporize most vessels. But the humans had built their ships to survive. Damage report, Admiral called out as the Defiant shook from the impact. Hull breach on Deck 7 sealed, armor holding, no casualties, Foster reported. Watched as the alien fleet adjusted their aim, preparing for another volley. All ships pattern Delta, keep them guessing. The 7 human vessels scattered, each one moving in a different direction. The aliens had superior numbers and better weapons, but humans had something else. They had experience fighting when the odds were bad. Lieutenant sat at the tactical station, his fingers moving across the controls. He had trained for combat his entire career, studying battles from Earth's history. Now he would put that knowledge to use. Admiral, their shields are cycling at regular intervals. There is a pattern. If we time our shots right, we can hit them between cycles. Show me, ordered. Pulled up the sensor data, highlighting the fluctuations in the alien shield patterns. It was a tiny window, barely a fraction of a second, but it was enough. All ships coordinate fire on my mark. Target their shield generators, not their hulls. We disable, we do not destroy. Foster looked at her. Admiral, they are trying to kill us. Why are we holding back? Because we came here to make friends, not enemies. We prove we are better by showing restraint. The human fleet reformed, creating a defensive sphere. When the next alien volley came, they absorbed it, their armor scorched but intact, then gave the signal. 7 ships fired as one. Rail guns launched magnetic projectiles at incredible speeds. The solid slugs passed through the gaps in the alien shields and struck specific targets with surgical precision. 3 alien ships lost their shield generators. Their protective barriers flickered and died. Direct hits, reported. Their shields are down. Or stared at his tactical display in disbelief. How did they do that? They mapped our shield cycles, his tactical officer said. They found a weakness. Then adjust the cycles, randomize them. Yes, sir. But changing shield protocols took time. Time the humans used well. The Defiant launched a spread of missiles, each one tracking a different target. The alien ships tried to shoot them down, but human missiles were designed to be hard to stop. They jinked and weaved, protected by their own tiny shields. 4 missiles found their targets, striking engine compartments. The alien ships did not explode. Instead, their drives cut out, leaving them drifting. We are outmaneuvered, or second-in-command said. Sir, we should retreat. Never concentrate all fire on their flagship. If we kill their admiral, the rest will surrender. Every weapon on the alien fleet turned toward the Defiant, saw it coming. Brace for impact, she ordered calmly. The barrage was enormous. Energy beams, missiles, and plasma bolts all converging on one target. The Defiant's armor glowed white-hot from the heat. Explosions rippled across the hull. But the ship held together. Human engineers had built it to survive. They had tested it against every weapon they could imagine. The armor was layers of composite materials, each one designed to absorb and disperse different types of energy. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Fire in Section 12. Casualties reported, Foster said, his voice tight. Get damage control on it. I want firing solutions on every ship that just shot at us. Already locked in, Admiral. Then light them up. The Defiant's main rail gun fired. It was a massive weapon built into the spine of the ship. The projectile it launched weighed 3 tons and traveled at a significant fraction of light speed. It hit the alien flagship dead center, punching through shields and armor like they were paper. The ship did not explode, but it went dark, all power lost. Target neutralized, reported. The rest of the human fleet followed up, each ship picking targets with care. They aimed for engines and weapons, avoiding crew compartments when possible. Within minutes, half the alien fleet was disabled. Captain Daniel Price arrived in the middle of the battle, his patrol ship dropping out of FTL near the conflict. He stared at his in shock. "Get me a channel to both sides immediately," he ordered. "Sir, the alien fleet is not responding, but the humans are receiving." Admiral's face appeared on his screen. She had a cut on her forehead and smoke was visible behind her. "Captain Price, I hope you are here to help because we are running out of options." "Admiral, cease fire, I can stop this." "Tell that to them, they shot first." Price switched to a general broadcast. "All ships cease fire immediately. This is Captain Daniel Price of the Galactic Council. The attack on the human fleet was unauthorized. Repeat, unauthorized. Any commander who continues firing will be charged with war crimes." The alien fleet hesitated. Some ships stopped shooting, others continued. Or heard the message but did not care. "Ignore him, he is just one patrol ship. Continue firing." But his crew was no longer following orders. They had seen human combat capability. They had seen ships that should have been destroyed still fighting, and they had seen restraint. The humans could have killed them all but chose not to. "Sir, the crew refuses to continue," his tactical officer reported. "Mutiny, I will have you all executed." "No, you will not," said Commander, his voice coming through the communication system. "This is Commander of the Council Defense Force. Admiral, or you are under arrest for unauthorized military action and attempted genocide. Stand down immediately." Ship emerged from FTL, accompanied by two others. Behind them came an H in their courier ship. Or realized his position was lost. "All ships cease fire." The battle stopped. The silence that followed was heavy with tension. Admiral took a deep breath. "Damage report, all ships." The reports came in. The Defiant had taken the worst of it, with 47 casualties and significant damage. But no ships were lost. The other human vessels reported similar situations. The alien fleet had suffered worse. 8 ships were completely disabled, 3 had lost life support, and there were casualties. "Foster, prepare rescue teams. Any alien ship that needs help, we provide it." "Admirals, you heard me, they are wounded and helpless. We help them." Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was already organizing medical teams. She had treated trauma before, but never on aliens. Now she would learn. The first rescue shuttle launched from the Defiant, heading toward an alien ship with failing life support. The alien crew watched it approach with suspicion. "They will kill us," one crew member said. "Then we are already dead," another replied. "But I do not think they will." The shuttle docked and human medics came aboard. They wore environment suits and carried medical equipment. They moved through the damaged ship quickly, finding wounded aliens and providing first aid. One human medic found an alien trapped under debris. The alien was semi-conscious and clearly in pain. "Easy, friend," the medic said, though he knew the alien could not understand. "We are going to get you out." He worked carefully, using cutting tools to free the trapped limbs. The alien groaned but did not struggle. When finally free, the alien looked up at the human with confusion. "Why help?" the alien asked through a broken translator. The medic smiled behind his helmet. "Because it is the right thing to do." On other ships, similar scenes played out. Humans helping those who had just tried to kill them. It was incomprehensible to the alien crews. Commander boarded the disabled flagship to arrest, or he found the admiral sitting in his command chair, staring at his. "It is over," said. "We nearly won," or replied, "if we had concentrated fire earlier." "You never had a chance. Look at the battle analysis. The humans were always 3 steps ahead. They knew where you would shoot before you did." "Impossible. They have been fighting wars on their planet for thousands of years. They have forgotten more about combat than we ever knew." Or stood slowly. "Then the myths were true. They are too dangerous to allow in the galaxy." "No, they are too dangerous to make enemies of. That is why we should make them allies." Placed restraints on the admiral and led him away. Ambassador opened a communication channel with the Defiant. Admiral appeared, looking exhausted. "Admiral, I apologize for what happened here. The attack was not authorized by the Galactic Council." "I know," said. Captain Price explained. "But Ambassador, you need to understand something. We came in peace, but we did not come defenseless. If this is how your people greet strangers, we need to reconsider our presence here. Please do not judge us by the actions of extremists. The Council wishes to speak with you properly, with honor and respect. Looked at Captain Foster, then at Dr. Morgan, who had just returned from a rescue mission covered in alien blood. Very well, said finally. But we do this on our terms. I will come to your council chambers. But my fleet remains here, and if anything happens to me, they have orders to return to Earth and tell our government that the galaxy is hostile. 3 months had passed since the battle at the border. The Galactic Council chambers looked different now, with additional seating prepared for potential new members. Representatives from all 12 species waited as High Chancellor Eth called the session to order. We gather today for a historic decision, Eth announced. The question before us is whether to accept humanity as a full member of the Galactic Council. The main doors opened, and Admiral Laura entered. She wore a formal uniform, dark blue with silver insignia. Behind her walked Captain Daniel Price, who had volunteered to escort her as a gesture of goodwill. Approached the center of the chamber, standing in the spot reserved for petitioners. She looked around at the alien faces watching her, seeing curiosity, fear, and hope in equal measure. High Chancellor, honored representatives, began, her voice steady and clear. I stand before you as a representative of the United Earth Federation. We come seeking membership in your council, hoping to join the community of intelligent species in this galaxy. Why should we admit you? Asked, his gelatinous form rippling. You arrived with warships. Your first act in our space was a battle that damaged multiple vessels. A battle we did not start, replied calmly. We came in peace. We were attacked without provocation, but even in defending ourselves, we showed restraint. We could have destroyed the fleet that attacked us. Instead, we disabled their ships and then helped rescue their crews. Commander stood from his seat. I can confirm this. I reviewed all combat footage from the engagement. The human fleet had multiple opportunities to inflict fatal damage. They chose not to. But they did inflict damage, another representative pointed out. 8 ships were disabled, there were casualties. 42 alien casualties, said quietly. I know the exact number. I have memorized the name of every being who died because of that battle. I carry that weight. But I also know that we had 47 casualties of our own. War is not something we take lightly. Ambassador arose from his seat. I have studied human history over the past 3 months. What I found was shocking. Humans have fought thousands of wars on their home planet. They have developed weapons capable of destroying their entire world. Yet despite this, they chose to stop. They created global peace treaties and redirected their resources toward exploration and science. That just proves they are dangerous, said one of the few Alliance members not currently imprisoned. A species that fights constantly. A species that learned from their mistakes, corrected. That is very different. They had the power to destroy themselves and chose unity instead. H activated a holographic display. I have analyzed human culture in depth. They have art, music, literature spanning thousands of years. They have philosophies of compassion and justice. They have laws protecting the weak and codes of honor in battle. Yes, they are warriors, but they are also poets and teachers and healers. We saw that ourselves, said a new voice. One of the alien crew members rescued by human medics had been invited to speak. I was trapped, dying on my ship. A human came and freed me. He did not have to. His people had no obligation to help those who attacked them. But he did it anyway because he said it was the right thing. Felt emotion tighten her throat. We are not perfect. We have made terrible mistakes in our history, but we learn, we grow, we try to be better than we were yesterday. That is all any species can do. Eth studied carefully. Tell us, Admiral, why did you really come here? What does Earth want from us? Took a breath before answering. Honestly, we want what everyone wants. We want to belong. For 3,000 years, we have been alone. We thought we were the only intelligent species in the universe. Then we found evidence of this council, and we realized we were wrong. We are not alone, and we do not want to be isolated anymore. But you isolated yourselves, pointed out. 3,000 years ago, humans left known space. You abandoned your colonies. We had no choice, said. A plague was spreading through our colonies. We did not understand it. We could not cure it. But we knew if it spread to other species, it could kill millions. So we chose to quarantine ourselves. We went home to Earth, sealed our borders, and focused on survival. She pulled up a holographic image of Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly in the air. This is our world. It is harsh by your standards, high gravity, extreme weather, dangerous animals, but it is home. We spent 3,000 years there rebuilding our civilization. We cured the plague. We unified our people. And then we looked up at the stars and decided it was time to try again. Why now? Asked Ith. Because we were ready, because we had learned, and because we hoped that maybe this time we could do it right. A long silence filled the chamber. Then Commander spoke again. I have something to share with this council, information I have kept secret until now. He activated his own display, showing ancient records from his species' archives. 3,000 years ago, my people were at war. We were losing. Our enemy had superior numbers and technology. We were facing extinction. Then humans arrived. They had been exploring nearby systems and heard our distress calls. The records showed images of ancient human ships, smaller than the current fleet, but with the same angular design. They asked for nothing in return. They simply helped because it was the right thing to do. Within 6 months, they had turned the tide of the war, not by destroying our enemies, but by teaching us better tactics and helping us negotiate a peace treaty. Then they left, asking only that we remember them. Look directly at, my people have remembered, and now I see that humans are still the same, still willing to help, still choosing peace when possible and fighting only when necessary. I vote to accept their membership. Stood, as do I. The galaxy needs people like humans, people who understand both strength and mercy. H rose as well. I vote yes, their knowledge and experience will make us all stronger. One by one, other representatives stood. Some looked uncertain, but they stood nonetheless. When the count was finished, only 2 voted against admission. The motion passes, Eth announced. Humanity is hereby accepted as a full member of the Galactic Council. Felt relief wash over her. It was done. They had achieved what they came for. Thank you, she said simply. We will prove worthy of this trust. There is one more thing, Eth continued. We must appoint a permanent ambassador from Earth to represent your species on this council. Smiled, I have someone perfect for the job. A second human entered the chamber. Ambassador Sanders was younger than, with sharp eyes and a diplomatic smile. She had spent the past 3 months learning everything she could about council protocol and alien cultures. High Chancellor, representatives, I am Sanders. I have been appointed by Earth's government to serve as your permanent liaison. I look forward to working with all of you. The council members welcomed her, and Sanders took her seat at the table. For the first time in 3,000 years, a human sat as an equal among the stars. After the session ended, found Captain Price waiting in the corridor. Congratulations, Admiral, he said. Thank you, Captain. You took a risk helping us during the battle. It was the right thing to do, Price replied with a slight smile. I believe a human medic said something similar. Laughed, we are going to get along well, I think. I hope so. There is much we can learn from each other. They walked together through the station, talking about the future. Price would serve as the primary liaison between Council security and the human fleet. It was a role he had requested, wanting to build bridges between the species. In the medical bay, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was teaching alien doctors about human biology. Several species had expressed interest in understanding humans better, particularly after seeing how resilient they were in combat. The key to understanding humans, Morgan explained, is recognizing that we evolved in challenging conditions. Our bodies are built to survive trauma and adapt to stress. But that does not make us invincible. We feel pain, we grieve our losses, we fear death just like everyone else. One of the alien doctors, a gentle being named, asked, Then how do you keep fighting when wounded? Morgan considered the question. Because we know others depend on us, because we believe in something larger than ourselves, and because we have hope that things will get better. Aboard the Defiant, Captain Foster was overseeing repairs. The ship had taken serious damage in the battle, but human engineering was up to the challenge. Within weeks, they would be fully operational again. Captain, called one of his crew members, we are receiving a message from one of the alien ships we rescued. They want to thank us personally. Foster smiled, put them through. The alien captain appeared on the screen, his translator working smoothly now. Captain Foster, I wanted to express my gratitude. You saved my crew when you had every right to leave us to die. We are all just trying to survive out here, Foster replied. Seemed wrong to let good people die over a misunderstanding. You have honor, my people will remember this. When the communication ended, Foster looked out at the stars. They had come so far from Earth, risking everything on the hope that they would find friends among the stars. Now that hope was becoming reality. On Earth, President Cole watched the live broadcast from the council chambers. When the vote was announced, he felt tears on his cheeks. We made it, he whispered. We are finally home. His aide smiled. Sir, there are already requests from other council species wanting to establish embassies on Earth. Tell them yes, all of them. It is time we opened our world to the galaxy. 3 months later, the first alien ship landed on Earth. It was a diplomatic vessel carrying ambassadors from 6 different species, all eager to see the legendary death world that had produced humanity. They found a planet of stunning diversity, oceans covering most of the surface, mountains reaching into thin atmosphere, deserts where nothing should survive but life flourished anyway, and cities filled with billions of humans, all looking up at the sky with wonder. Ambassador stood on a beach, feeling the crushing gravity and breathing the thick air. It was uncomfortable but not unbearable. I understand now, he said to Ambassador Sanders, who stood beside him. This world made you strong because it had to, but it also made you appreciate life. Nothing here is easy, so everything here fights to survive. Sanders nodded. That is a good way to put it. We learned that cooperation beats competition, that protecting the weak benefits everyone, that mercy is not weakness but wisdom. Those are lessons the galaxy needs, said. Over the following years, humanity integrated into galactic society. They shared their technology, crude as it was by Council standards, but effective in ways the aliens had not considered. They opened Earth to tourism, though visitors needed special equipment to handle the harsh conditions. And they contributed to Council security, their tactical expertise proving valuable in peacekeeping operations. But more than anything, humans brought hope. They were proof that a species could overcome its violent past and reach for something better. They showed that strength and compassion were not opposites but partners. The myths had been true. Humans were warriors from a death world, but they were also dreamers and builders and friends. And the galaxy was better for having them back. Admiral, retired now, sat in her garden on Earth, watching the sunset. Above her, ships from a dozen different worlds crossed the sky, proof that humans were no longer alone. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, the risks they had taken, the battles they had fought, the friends they had made. Was it worth it? Asked her husband, sitting beside her. Smiled every single moment. The stars came out, brighter now because humanity knew what was among them. Friends, allies, and fellow travelers in the great adventure of existence. The children of Saul had returned, and they were home at last. That is fair, O agreed. I will arrange everything. The communication ended and slumped in her chair. You did well, Admiral, Foster said quietly. We survived, corrected. Now comes the hard part, convincing them we are worth knowing. Around them, human and alien crews worked side by side to repair damaged ships and treat wounded. It was a strange sight, former enemies cooperating in the aftermath of battle. But perhaps it was also a hopeful one. Closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of the 3,000 people under her command. The children in the civilian sections, the families who had traveled so far hopping for a new beginning. All ships evasive action. Return fire only if fired upon. Try not to kill anyone if possible. Understood, Foster replied. The first shot came from the alien fleet. A brilliant beam of energy that splashed against the Defiant's armor, scorching the hull but not penetrating. That is it then, said quietly. Foster, show them why you do not attack humans without a very good reason. In Price and his crew, she had been a before joining the expedition, and now she had actual aliens to study. Their biology was different from humans, but they showed emotions she recognized. Curiosity, caution, even fear. These were not incomprehensible beings. They were people just like humans trying to navigate a complex universe. She wrote in her report that first contact was promising. Both sides were being careful, which was good. The real test would come when politics got involved. In the council chambers on Prime, alarms were sounding. None of them knew that at that very moment, on the edge of known space, sensors were picking up something unusual. Energy signatures that did not match any known ship design. Massive vessels emerging from the darkness beyond the mapped regions. The myths were about to become reality, and the galaxy was not prepared.